Hi, everyone. I want to talk about easy targets today and why the internet is obviously used for some good things and then obviously used for bad things. And that's when people hide behind screens and and feel they have the right to post whatever they want and say whatever they want regardless of how the receiver feels. I've made a lot of videos and I've made videos about my experience in previous relationships and parental alienation and stuff. And I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. This is going to be maybe dufold or trifold or quadfold or just making up words as I go along. But I want to talk about why some parents might be targets of their children's words, which unfortunately may not be positive. For me, I raised my two girls on my own, and after our divorce, their dad saw them one Saturday a month, and it's just facts. I'm just laying down facts. So we divorced when my girls were about around the age of 10, 9, 10, 10, and 11 in there, and then I raised them primarily by myself. And as a parent who raised two children on her own, and I have two daughters, that if you want to raise decent kids who have respect for other people, et cetera, you have to make hard decisions to discipline and set boundaries. And that's what I did. And that meant I was probably at the most, not all of the time, but not their favorite persons. And that's just the way it is when you have to discipline your kids. So when they're with you most of the time, not only do you have to discipline, but they know quite a bit about you, which sometimes, if you let them know too much, can make you a target of unkind words. So, in today's day and age, because we have the internet, we have a lot more parents who are targeted and who are spoken negatively about and called abusive and mean and cruel. And there's just so many various ways that we can be targets, but primarily it's on the internet or through text messaging. It's always done when your child doesn't have to see your face or the pain that they've inflicted or the hurt that they've caused. It's so much easier because that's just the way it is. But if your child were to stand in front of you, or my child were to stand in front of me and say the things that they've said via text messaging, Facebook, years ago, MySpace, etc., I guarantee you that those words probably would not be said very often, if ever. In our family, we were not allowed to disrespect our parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, etc. If we didn't like someone or we didn't care for someone or we just didn't get along with someone, we would just we would basically we attended a lot of family parties, but if there was someone you didn't get along with, you just basically would talk to other people or keep your distance. You would never go up to that person and say, "Hey, you're a jerk, the B word," or "I hate you," or whatever. There was always one uncle or but we would never be cruel to them. We just kept our distance. And even when I was growing up in my family, there were times when I didn't get along with my mom and I kept my distance, and I may have said I may have said a few things. And uh, I remember when I was a teenager, I think maybe I was 16, 17, but my mom had been in the kitchen with a couple of people, and I she yelled at me and I called her the B word, and she came and whacked me because calling your mom the B word wasn't acceptable. Even if it was true, you just didn't say. So I just want to say uh, the one thing that I know, and although I've not been with my children for a long time, is that I try to be as kind as possible and I try to stick to the facts at hand. I sometimes feel like cussing about my situation or saying things that I feel, maybe, mm, I want to use a derogatory term, but the one thing I learned growing up was to be kind. And even if you felt a certain way, didn't necessarily mean you had to say it, because years ago you had to risk seeing that person and you had to risk seeing the pain in their eyes. And the last thing you wanted to do ever was to see someone cry. So that's what I wanted to talk about. It's the words that are used against parents today on social media, etc., via email, text, are words most parents, like myself, who I believe are loving and kind and care about someone's heart, those words are not words I would ever use against people that I love or care about or am concerned about. It, it's just the way it is. So that's the one thing I'm grateful for is I was raised prior to the internet where I wasn't, and prior to cell phones, I wasn't given the opportunity to hide behind a screen and say mean things or cruel things. And even if the words you're saying you feel are true, and may be true to you, because if you're raised with a parent, you know the ins and outs of them and you've seen them on their best days and worst days. But if you start thinking, and you were raised by a loving parent, someone who said, I love you, I'm proud of you, I'm so glad I had you, you're awesome, and really liked being with you and gave you a home and, fed you and did everything to the best of their ability and surrounded you with people that loved you and cared about you. Sometimes, although you may think negative things about them, maybe they did negative things, but if you can start thinking about positive things they did and change your response to them and start saying kind things, that may help to adjust the way you react when you think about them. So, like I said, there was times when I hadn't talked to my mom for years. I disconnected, and now I reestablished a relationship with her, and I just went to see her the other day, and with my husband, we had a great visit. We laughed and joked around and talked, and I I just take it one day at a time. And now I'm finding positive things to say, and I'm hoping to continue. But I also have to set proper boundaries and say there's certain things I don't want to talk about, and there's certain things that are okay to talk about, and let's go in that direction. And if I find that I'm getting uncomfortable, I have to set a boundary, or I have to excuse myself from the situation until I can turn it around and bring it back to something positive. So uh, that's what I wanted to say, is that even if someone's an easy target because you can hide behind a screen, doesn't mean you have to put them on your bullseye and aim at them and shoot at them. It's if you've had positive experience with more positive than negative with someone, because if you live with something, I'm sorry, if you live with someone, there are negative things that happen. But I live with my husband. I would never say things that would hurt his feelings because I don't want to I don't want to cause him pain. And that's just the way it is. I'm sure there's things he could say about me too, but he doesn't say them because I'm a human being. He doesn't want to hurt my feelings and he doesn't want to see me cry. So that's all there is to it. That's all I wanted to say today. I hope these words help someone else to be kind, to have a change of mindset, and most important, start to show compassion and love to other people. Because even if you say it and you're behind a screen, does not mean your words will not affect someone in a negative way. And I think the last thing for me is I don't want the last words I exchanged with someone to be the last words they heard from me if they are not kind. that's not a good way to, uh, it's just, to me, that would be a huge unresolved, and that's the last thing I want or need. So that's what I wanted to say. I hope everyone is having a good day, and we will talk with you soon. Bye bye.